going through Genesis, the book of Genesis. Today we're in Genesis chapter 23, and it talks an entire chapter set aside to talk about one person and to point people to this one person. Her name is Sarah. It was Abraham's wife, and Sarah dies, and this is what happens. Abraham says that they were strangers in a foreign land. He and Sarah, they were not home, but they were in a place that wasn't home, and he needed to bury her. And so he asked the people that lived in this area, they were called the Hittites, about was there any land where he could bury his wife Sarah. And how the Hittites respond, because they understood that the presence of the Lord that was on Abraham, and this was the response. They said, Abraham, you can find the finest of land that we all have. No one will refuse you. We'll offer it to you. You just ask what you want, and we'll give it to you. And Abraham says, well, instead of giving it to me, I want to buy it. And so he paid for it instead. He ended up paying about 400 pieces of silver for a land for Sarah to be buried. And it says that land became their permanent possession. And so here's my takeaway about this chapter. It's interesting. A couple reminders that we are foreigners in this land. I know it's so easy for us. We have a nice home, or nice bedroom, nice things. We think this is our home, but this is not our permanent residence. It's not your permanent residence. The earth isn't your permanent residence. You and I, we are foreigners here. This is not our final destination. It's not our home. I want you to get that today. And I want you to know someone was willing to pay the price so we can have a permanent possession. Christ died for you and I so we can enjoy a permanent possession one day. It is going to be the finest place. It's going to be a place Christ says that he actually goes and he is preparing for us. And it's a place called heaven. It's going to be a perfect and a flawless place. It's not going to be like maybe the neighborhood you live in or the town you live in and you see areas that needs to be improved. Heaven's not going to be that way. You're going to look around and you and I are going to be amazed because of its beauty. And there was a song a couple years ago that one of my favorite artists wrote. His name is Stephen Curtis Chapman. And he wrote this song called We Are Not Home Yet. And I just think it's really cool, just a reminder to know that we're not home. We are not home yet. And I put here, said we are living in a temporary place and that Christ is preparing a permanent place for us, a place called heaven. And here's my prayer. My prayer is that we wouldn't get so satisfied where we are in this moment and where we are today, that we wouldn't get satisfied in this temporary place, and that we would remember that Christ gives us access to a permanent place. If it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have a permanent place, but he paid the price in full so you and I can have a permanent place one day. He paid for it. He paid for it with his life, being born in a manger, living a sinless life. Christ never sinned. He lived a sinless life. He willingly laid down his life on a cross and died on a cross. And on the third day, he resurrected. He paid the price so you and I can have access to heaven, or we can have access to God, or we have a relationship with him and live a life full of peace. But we need to remember our mindset needs to be, we're not home. You're not home. You're not home. But our home is in heaven. Again, this is a temporary place. It's only temporary. And things here will fail. Things here will grow old and wither away, become like dust. But what are we going to do? The Bible says we need to store up treasures in heaven. And by our actions and the things we do, God's will, and to be a blessing to other people. So that's my prayer today, is that we will learn to build up treasures in heaven. And remember, this is not our permanent place, but heaven is our permanent place. I love you. And I remember you matter to me, but more importantly, you matter to God. God bless you and have a great day.